Hey guys, it's time for yet another banner review video in Sword of Convalera Global. In this video, I'll be covering Caris, the High Bishop of the Purposites, and I'll be covering her key trait and her key skills and passives. As always, I'll also include a timestamp in the video description that you can use to skip ahead to the section that you're interested in. So first off, I'll be looking at Caris' kit. Caris is a magic DPS destroyer specializing in AoE damage, and the unique thing about Caris is her trait allows her to build charges, and when she hits sufficient stacks of the charges, some of her key skills gets upgraded to the next tier. To understand how her charging works, let's look at her trait. So on the right hand side, I include 1-star and 5-star trait just so you can see how it changes as she progresses. Now focusing on how her charging capability works, Caris has the ability to gain a self buff called Light Oracle. When she has Light Oracle, some of her key skills gets upgraded to the next tier, which essentially increases their damage capabilities and potency. I'll cover more about which skills these are and what they do soon, but first let's talk about how she gains the Light Oracle buff itself. Light Oracle is a buff that is gained when she hits 9 stacks of Revelation, and she gains Revelation stacks each time a nearby ally does a non-instant active attack. When she hits 9 stacks of Revelation, so in other words when there has been 9 non-instant attacks done by her allies, then the 9 stacks of Revelation will be consumed and she gains the Light Oracle buff. Importantly, the Light Oracle buff itself will be consumed and lost the moment Caris does one of her upgraded attacks. The other important distinction to take note of is that she can only gain at most 5 stacks of Revelation per round. So on average, you can expect the Light Oracle buff to appear on Caris maybe once every 2 to 3 rounds. Depending on how high you get Caris' trait to, her trait also provides her with a boost to her magic attack stat, the ability to gain energy when she gets her Light Oracle buff, as well as ending her turn with 3 stacks of Revelation, making it easier to hit the next Light Oracle buff. Now let's move on to her key skills and which gets upgraded when she has her Light Oracle buff. Now I included only 3 here, but considering that a character only can have 3 skills and or passives equipped anyway, I think it's already enough to have the 3 mentioned here because these would be her 3 key Light Oracle skills. Now first off is Caris' rank 3. Now unfortunately though, both her left side and right side rank 3 are Light Oracle skills, and they are both pretty useful and, in my opinion, key for Caris, which essentially means that if you want to use Caris optimally, I would highly recommend to spend at least 1 Castelia to unlock both her rank 3 skills. On the left side, you have Broad Radiance. Broad Radiance is very interesting because, as far as I know, this is the only way to get a magical shield, which is a shield that absorbs magical DPS, and Caris can apply the magical shield as an AoE, so she can grant this to all her nearby allies. While the shield is up, you are also immune to bound immunity. Now if Caris does have the Light Oracle buff, the shield is upgraded in terms of potency, so it's double the amount, as well as also giving any ally buffed with the shield regeneration 3, which is healing every round, and a control debuff immunity. Her other rank 3 skill is an AoE DPS skill, which I think is probably one of her bread and butter moves due to the relatively reasonable cooldown and energy cost. This is the Cumulative Punishment, and it does pretty decent damage unupgraded, but nothing really noteworthy. It does 20% of the target's health in damage plus 50% of Caris' magic attack, which is pretty useful for taking out low tier enemies or minions or adds. but would be less damage on bosses because bosses normally carry resistance to HP damage percentages. If Caris has her Light Oracle buff, the damage is upgraded to 75% magic attack, so 50% more damage, and to 30% of the target's HP as opposed to 20%. Because this skill does percentage damage of the target's health, it is very useful when tackling non-boss targets and can quickly mow down the opposing enemy forces. Finally, at rank 7, Caris unlocks her big nuke sort of skill, which is the elimination of all scenes. Now this is a pretty hefty skill in terms of cost and damage. First of all, this skill itself requires 4 energy, so it is pretty pricey to use. On top of this, Caris needs 1 turn to charge when using this skill. In return though, you get a 130% fire AoE damage that also stuns any target's hit. And in addition, if any of the target is a large target, which is the target occupies more than 1 tile, good example would be the bosses in the weapon trial, then this skill also does an additional 100% damage, which is pretty big in potency. If Caris is buffed with Light Oracle, the mechanics of the damage changes. It will then do 120% damage plus 50% damage to large targets, and then plus 60% damage to all enemies in the surrounding area. And while buffed with Light Oracle, the skill will also be inflicting null healing receive. So in a PvP type of situation, it can deal quite a lot of damage. The biggest drawback of course is that it requires 1 turn to charge, so you could just walk out of the AoE area, which is always an issue when facing charging skills in PvP. Before moving on, just a quick note again about how the Light Oracle buff works. Remember that once you use the upgraded skill, the Light Oracle buff is lost, and Caris will need to rebuild 9 stacks of Revelation to get the Light Oracle buff again. Now moving on to optional skills, and there's 2 that I highlighted here, and depending on how you want to play Caris, you can remove one of her skills, either her big nuke at rank 7 if you feel that it's not needed due to the opportunity cost, or maybe either her shield skill because there's no magical DPS in the stage, or maybe even her cumulative punishment AoE. Although I wouldn't recommend that skill, I think that would be the one used the most due to the 2 energy cost. But depending on the stage and the rest of the party makeup, there are 2 other skills that you can potentially slot in. The first is her rank 11 so-called ultimate, which is Crystal Implosion. I wanted to mention this skill at least because it is, as far as I know, the only way currently to inflict magical defense 3 down, which is a 60% reduction in magical defense and can lead to very very high numbers once Caris use her other skills after that. The one drawback though about Crystal Implosion is that it has a whopping 4 round cooldown, so you can't expect a 100% uptime on a debuff because the debuff itself lasts only for 2 turns. The other optional skill is Caris' Leader Aura. Now Caris carries the Leader Aura for the pop-out states, and it is one of the best, if not maybe even the best Leader Aura for pop-out states, because not only does it carry the usual 10% attack and 20% defense, but it also carries additional effects that boost damage even further. If the allied unit has 4 or more buffs, which really isn't that difficult to achieve, piercing damage dealt is increased by 12%, damage dealt is increased by another 12%, and damage taken is decreased by 12%. So all in all, pretty hefty aura. Before moving on, just a quick mention about her basic attack and reaction skill. So at rank 5, you unlock her reaction skill, Energy Recovery, and apologies, there's a mix-up between her rank 5 and rank 9, but essentially rank 5 reaction skill would be her Energy Recovery, and anytime she gets attacked, she will recover 1 additional energy, and I think this is pretty good for characters that rely a lot on energy, considering also of course her rank 7 requires 4 of it, so the ability to restore energy is always appreciated. And the other one, I will actually pick Charge Attack for her basic attack skill. Now Caris also has a basic skill at rank 9 that gets upgraded when she has Light Oracle, but I wouldn't recommend taking that because as with her other skills, the moment you use it, she will lose the Light Oracle buff. And in my opinion, if she has a Light Oracle buff, you want to use one of the other skills instead and not waste it on a basic attack. In which case, then Charge Attack is the way to go. The other reason why Charge Attack is desirable also is that it gives Caris a plus 15% damage buff on her next attack, and it synergizes very well with her kit. So on the turns when she's still building Revelation stacks, you can use Charge Attack as a free attack, and then hopefully the next round she gets 9 stacks of Revelation, gets the Light Oracle, and can do one of her upgraded attacks that also gains the plus 15% damage buff from Charge Attack. So it really plays very well with her overall kit, and I would recommend to take Charge Attack. So looking at Caris's kit, my thought, well, first of all, you need to understand that she's a somewhat charging style magic DPS attacker, and it is actually very different from August. August is also so-called a charging type attacker, but the main difference is that August only needs 6 stacks of rage, and he can build rage stacks very reliably, especially also it only depends on himself and doesn't rely on teammates to build the stacks. The other thing about August also is he gets a buff called Rage Outburst when he reaches 6 stacks of rage, and he gets an additional turn. An additional turn is very different than upgraded attacks and is far superior. So I wouldn't really compare Caris to August in that sense. Caris gains charge anytime any ally does a non-instant action, and this would, like I said earlier, probably give you the Light Oracle buff every 2 to 3 rounds. So her damage is very spiky, and the way to build around her is to give her the maximum damage potential when she has the Light Oracle buff. So you need to time the relevant buffs and debuffs accordingly. Now on the plus side, she can hit extremely hard when she has her Light Oracle buff, especially with her rank 7 attack. She also has a very juicy Purple States leader aura, so if you have a very good Purple States team already, then Caris would be an excellent addition with her leader aura. She also has access to Magic Defense 3 down debuff, which is very potent. The biggest drawback really is that it's on a 4 turn cooldown. Otherwise, I would really pull for her because I really value these kind of debuffs. And if you really need it, she also has the AoE magical shield. However, really I think it can't outweigh the cons. Doesn't really make her a bad character. In my mind, she's just a bit of an awkward sort of character to play. First of all, her charging is a little bit awkward because at most, usually you have 5 characters in play, Caris included. I know there are some stages where you can bring 6 characters, but those are extremely rare. And there are stages where you don't even have 5 characters, you can only bring less than 5. In which case, it makes it even more difficult to charge her Revelation stacks and get the Light Oracle buff. Not only that, there is a range if the ally units are too far. So for example, if you use Cole and Cole charges ahead, as she often does, then it's likely that Cole won't be able to contribute to Caris's Revelation stacks. Finally, Caris herself, in my mind, requires at least 1 Castelia because I would really recommend to unlock both her rank 3 skills. They are pretty good. If you really don't want to spend a Castelia, I suppose you can make do without her magical shield, but I think that would be a waste because it can come in handy, and it also provides other buffs if you use it with her Light Oracle buff is up. On top of this, if you also want to unlock her leader aura, then you would need another Castelia because the other rank 7 skill is a big nuke attack, and really if you want to use a magical AoE DPS, why would you not want to unlock their biggest AoE damaging skill? All in all, personally, I wouldn't be pulling for Caris because I just find her kit a little bit too clunky to use. Anyway, that's it for this video, and as always, if you enjoyed the content, do leave a like, comment and subscribe. Till then, I'll catch you guys in the next banner review video. Bye!